Okay. Should be able to survive. Maybe it's basic self.
Okay, so today what we are going to be taking is Flexbox and Grid.
Nice.
I didn't get that.
Can you hear me? What I'm going to be teaching today is Flexbox and Grid. So what I'm going to be taking today is Flexbox and Grid. And basically what's Flexbox and Grid? Flexbox and Grid allows you to style your layout. That's basically what it's for. But Flexbox is different from Grid. Grid is two-dimensional. So you can use Grid to define both your rows and columns, while Flexbox is more one-dimensional, but it gives you more freedom on your styling. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so Flexbox gives you more freedom on your styling, but is more one-dimensional, while the Grid layout is two-dimensional. Let me see if I can show some examples. I'll be sharing my screen now. So um okay, so okay, let me share my screen. Code pen, code pen, code pen. Let me make a code pen. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm assuming since you've learned HTML and CSS, you know that to look stuff up, you can always there are learning resources online like W3 schools. Has anybody heard of that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so seeing as this was an impromptu class, I'll be using material from other places, and one of the most popular places to get learning resources from is W3 schools. So I'm going to use some of their material to explain some of the basic concepts of Flexbox and Grid to you. So I'm going to share my screen now. Let me see. 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 Okay. Okay. So right now I'm sharing my screen. Um, let me start with. So if any of you is actually serious about considering um being a developer, a coder, this is a lot of what you're going to be doing. You're going to have to be looking up stuff a lot, because especially if you're going to be self-taught, or even if you're learning somewhere, to some extent every developer is self-taught. You have to learn stuff on your own, because no one can exactly spoon feed you all the knowledge. So can everybody see my screen right now? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, what they used here, what they used here is Grid. Yeah? So for you to use Grid, um, for you to use this, you're going to have to do it, but you're going to have to know both HTML and CSS. Um, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all these boxes, um, horizontally, those are rows, and vertically, those are columns. So they used CSS Grid here to create this layout. So all these boxes are inside the main box, contains everything, and that is the div class grid container. So the first thing you create is the div class grid container. I'm going to be recreating this in a code pen live. So let me create a code pen. Let me create a code pen. So yeah, and code pen is this is a tool that allows you to write your code online instead of having to set up an ID. So I got this system not too long ago, so I'm not using an ID right now. So I'm just going to write the code in the code pen. So yeah. Okay, so let me start with this. So yeah, if you're going to be making a grid, this is your first step. You have to create this, which is going to be the main container for the rest of the stuff you are going to put inside. And once you create this and you give it the class of grid container, now can anyone tell me how you are going to target these HTML elements in CSS as it has been assigned a class? What am I meant to do next? Is anybody willing to answer? How do you target an
Grid
element that
container.
has been given a class?
Dot
Hmm?
grid
Just
space container.
Yeah, that's how you target a class. So any element I've given a class, that's how you target it. So you're meant to give it the, I think, display grid. It's been a while since I've written code, so but I think I should still be able to do I should still be able to write basic CSS at least. So yeah, I think this should be display grid. One of the bad things, or not necessarily bad, about writing without a proper ID. Normally, writing with let me say, VS Code, they would have, once you type D, they would have given you suggestions. You would have seen display already. Then once you accept display, they will show you the different things you can accept. So yeah, you can put your display as grid. You can put your display as block, inline block. You can put your display as flex if you were going to do Flexbox. So yeah, the display you choose matters because it affects the elements that are going to be inside the div that you give a particular display. So okay, so now you can see what they did here. This is the grid container. Then the elements 1 to 9 are inside it. I'm going to make my own different, so it's not like we're doing the exact same thing they are doing. So you can understand. So this is their code here. Um, can anybody tell me the type of CSS they used here? Because I'm sure if you've been taught CSS, you know that there are three types of CSS: inline, internal, and external. Which CSS are they using in this example here from W3 schools?
There's an internal.
External.
Yeah, no, this is internal.
This is
This is
internal.
actually internal. Yeah, this is internal. Okay, so let me just give you a quick reminder. In internal CSS, your CSS is basically in the same place where your HTML is. You write this style tag, and you write the styles for the elements inside. If you were doing external CSS, your CSS will be in a separate file, which is mostly in most projects, it will be style.css. It will be in a file called style.css. Then you just link it. There's something they call linking. Like now, if you see this, if you look at my code pen, let me go to my code pen. You can see I'm writing HTML in one place. I'm writing CSS in one place. I'm writing JS in one place. So since I'm writing CSS in a separate place from my HTML, this is actually external CSS. So inline CSS is when you write it in the middle of the HTML, not even in a style tag, in the middle of the HTML. That's inline. That's inline. But the one they are using on W3 schools, the one written inside the style tag, that is what they call internal CSS. Hope everyone got that.
Yes.
Okay, so looking at what they did here, like I said, if you want to make something a grid, you have to give the container a display of grid. So they gave it a display of grid, which I already did. Then grid template columns. Like I said, this is to make it have only 3 columns: auto, auto, auto. That's what splits it into 3 columns. But I'm going to make mine 2 now. So anyone, you can see my code here. Right now, there's a mistake. What's the mistake? If you're looking at my screen, look at it. Can you see that there's a mistake in my code right now? Yes, there's no
There's a
semicolon. So it's
semicolon
not
missing.
After
yeah,
the grid.
so if I was going to try to run this now, it would give me an error because there's no it would be reading these old grid template columns auto as what I'm meant to use as the attributes for display, which is wrong because it doesn't accept that as an attribute. So now that I've separated it, you can see the highlighting has changed. So now this is grid template columns and accepting auto. So I want it to have 2 columns, so I'm putting auto, auto. Okay. Then let me give it let me put other divs in this. Alpha, I beg. Yeah? We did engineering. I beg, I did teach class like this. I'm teaching a class online right now. So yeah. Can, can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, sorry for the break in transmission. Someone called me while I was and I'm using my phone's hotspot, so sorry for that. Mm, Okay, um, so you can see what it does basically. You can see that theirs was 9, so basically 3 by 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Columns are horizontal, rows are vertical. So that's why their own code, their own columns was auto, 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 meaning it was going to make it 3 columns. But mine is just auto, auto. That's why I have only 2 columns. You can see theirs is 1, 2, 3. Then let me go to mine. Even though this is just 1, 2, 3, 4. It didn't put 3 on the side, then put 4 beneath because I wrote auto only 2 times, meaning only 2 columns. Does everybody understand that? Hello, does everybody understand that?
Yeah, but shouldn't there be 4 ones showing?
Yeah, look at the 4 1 string. It can spell analysis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So I'm going to style it so maybe it will be more obvious then. Class. Uh, Let's use the same notation that they use grid item. Let's use grid item. But you can use anything. You can use anything to be fair. Doesn't really change much. So let me do let me do something different this time, just to jog your memories again. Okay, so now I change the selector to ID equals grid item. Can anybody tell me how I'm going to target it?
Dot
How
grid
do I
item.
target? No. Dot is for
Wait, what did you say?
classes. Dot is for classes. This
Hashtag.
time I used ID.
What's the question again?
The
Okay, the
question
ID,
is-
that's hash.
Okay, yes. To target an ID,
Yeah,
use the hashtag.
that's hash.
Yes, use the hashtag. So, grid item. I'm going to change it back to a class because I'll explain to you why. Let me first do this. Grid item. So let me do background color. Any suggestions on what I should use as my background color?
You can use cyan. I don't know. Anything.
Yeah. Okay. Background color. Oh, sorry. Can anybody tell me what the error in my code is right now? There's an error. I was about to fix it, but just to make the class interactive.
Wait, what?
There's an error in my code right now. Anyone spots the error?
I can't see the screen.
The HTML.
My CSS. There's an error in my CSS. You can't see my screen well. Oh, I really don't know how to change that because I'm just sharing this on Microsoft Teams.
It's not showing at all.
After you mention the grid container, you're supposed to have a column as well, I guess.
No. Try. Look at my CSS. My CSS.
You did not define that grid template column.
No, that's not it too.
You did not open the curly braces, I guess.
Okay, so now looking at this background color, this is the wrong way to write background color. I'm thinking it's meant to be background
No,
color.
all those are not
hyphenated.
showing.
Can you see?
Okay, I can't see it. Maybe that's why. I can't see
They are
it
not
as well.
showing. Your
Okay.
screen just loaded now.
Okay, no.
It just
Okay,
loaded now.
Okay, can you see my full screen now?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
You just saw
Yes,
it. It
going
wasn't
on.
showing before.
Okay,
It
sorry
just
for
showed
that.
now.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the error I made before. This was what I did before. That was why it didn't work. I used background space color. It's meant to be hyphenated instead. You can see now the color is cyan.
Okay.
Okay, so now imagine now that I didn't want only, if I also wanted to make number 4 cyan, let me also give it an ID of grid item. Okay, so now can you see that both number 1 and number 2 have the same color? Hello, can you see now that now both 1 and 2 have the same background color?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let me give the remaining ones the same property as well. So now they all have the same color. Okay, since you said you've learned CSS in this class before, can you all notice that the numbers are on the left side, the left side of the table? How can I put them at the center?
Align center.
And the numbers. You can use text align.
Yes. Very good suggestion. Text align center. So let me do that now.
Use align items.
No. It's
I
text.
think
Use text align.
the best option right now will be text align. Can you see the difference now?
Yeah, it just changed.
Okay, so now let's look at, can you see what they did here? And you can see mine. Let me go back to mine. You can see that mine is a little bit uglier than what they did. You can see that mine looks a bit uglier. What do you think I should change now to make this look better?
No, you could add the border radius. You could like
I think the
add a
padding.
border to it.
Add padding, add border
You
radius.
change the padding first.
Good ideas. I like people really familiarize yourself with
So many
CSS. Forgive my ugly orientation. Let me yeah. Can you see that now there's something different about the padding?
It's not showing your screen again.
It's not showing my screen again.
Mhm.
Okay, wait, let me stop sharing and start sharing again.
Okay.
Okay, can you see my screen now? Can everybody see my screen now?
Oh no, I can't.
Still coming up.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now you can see. I added the pattern of templates. Let me use templates. Okay. So now, going back to W3 schools, Grid has particular properties that you can use to manipulate how your grids look. And I'll be going over some of them. So, okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
So there are particular properties called column gap and row gap. You can see it. So you can use it to define the separation. You can use it to define the separation between your columns and your rows. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to use column gap now. Let's try it out. So I'll go to the class. Let me give it a separation of maybe 5 px. Let's see, 5 pixels. Can you see the separation it has created now? Can you see the separation between 1, 3 and 2, 4?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is one of the properties unique to grid. You can use it to create separation. So this is one thing that everyone should like pay a lot of attention to. You can always go to W3 school and learn more about whatever you learn in your class. Apart from W3 schools, there's so much material available on YouTube, Udemy. Like there's so much free material, free code camp that you can use to learn. So now I've manipulated the column gap. Now let me also manipulate the row gap and create another separation. Okay, so can you now also see the row gap? Can you also see the row gap that I just added?
Yes.
Okay, so let's also scale out the borders. Let's scale out the borders, for example. Okay, no, let me go back. Can you see that when they gave me the attributes, there's also something called grid gap. You can use grid gap as a shorthand form to write both grid row gap and grid column gap. So if you're writing the two of them and you want to make your CSS look better, instead of writing these 2 times, you can just get rid of both of them and write it in one place. So grid gap. You see, if you write it just once, it applies that same style to two of them, or you can separate it. And let me make that one bigger. You can see that the column gap is larger than the row gap because I made it MPX. If you write it only once, it applies it to both of them. If you write it twice, it applies it to each of them individually. Can you all see it? Can everyone see it? Okay, so let me just so now let me go to Flexbox. Sorry, how long was this class meant to hold for?
To 7.
Till 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey. Maybe I get appointment. Okay, so let's try out Flexbox now. It has been a while since I've written CSS, but that's the beauty of the internet. That's the beauty of the internet. You can always go online and learn whatever you want to learn. Though if you've done it before, it makes it easier. It's just like you're refreshing your memory. So okay. Okay. So you can see now. I told you Flex is very one-dimensional. You either use Flex for your rows or you use Flex for your columns. So in Flex, basically, instead of using, let me change this to Flex container and change this
Making
to.
noise.
Can you notice that as I changed the HTML, it has affected the whole thing of the page? So let me change this to display Flex. So okay, let me go to their example on Flexbox. So okay, this is their example. They used a div with class flex container. Then the elements inside, they didn't assign any classes to them. So let me change that. Let me remove the IDs. Oh, and yes. So let me just tell you this. I used ID repeatedly in that my last example, but it's against best practices. When normally for an element that is going to be reused, you are meant to use ID only once. In any project you're doing, once you assign ID to one element, you're meant to use it for only that element. Do you understand me? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Once you use ID, you're meant to use it only once. You're not meant to use it repeatedly. If you know that you want to target multiple elements using one selector, you're meant to use classes. So that's one of the best practices when you're writing HTML or CSS. So you can see how this how using flex container arranges my elements 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me remove the flex container tag so you see what that changes. Can you see? Once I remove the flex container tag, they are arranged horizontally. Once they are all in a flex box. So okay, why isn't this? Okay, so let me go back to the flex box. Okay, so once you put them in a flex container, um, just like before, you can style it anyhow you want to, but the parent element must always have the display property of flex. Just like when it comes to grid, the parent element must always have the display property of. Can anyone remind me?
Grid container.
No, not grid container. Grid container is the name of the class, but display is meant to be set to grid. Display is meant to be set to grid. Okay, so this is not what this is meant to be showing. It's meant to arrange them horizontally. Let me see where the issue is coming from. Okay, so let me go back to the examples. So for flex container, when you're doing flexbox is one dimensional. When you're writing grid gap, you can manipulate both the horizontal and the vertical, because you saw me use selectors that targeted both the columns and the rows, but flex is one dimensional. So when let me I'm trying to look for other. Okay, yes, see flex container. So these are properties that you have. Flex direction determines the order in which the elements are stacked. So you can either make this column or you can make this row. So right now they're in column. Let me go back to the code pen. Then let me change the flex direction. Let me change it to row, I think. Coming, sorry. The code pen doesn't seem to be working as it should. So I'm going to restart again. Let me write the divs again. Sorry. Sorry, someone's mic seems to be making a look of noise. If around you is noisy, please mute your mic. Okay, so yes, dot sorry, flex container. Okay, yes, please flex. Yeah, so you can see, I don't know why for some reason before it was not arranging in the right direction because I put it in a flex. That's why everything is arranging horizontally. If I remove the flex, it will arrange vertically back. You understand? So because it's in a flex box, that's why you see that it arranges itself vertically. Though you can change that with the property I mentioned earlier. Where is it? Flex direction, yes. So flex direction allows you to choose whether you are manipulating your flex horizontally or vertically, unlike grid. Grid allows you to do both at the same time. So let me change this property. I think so, because this is going. Yeah, I'm on an ECX class. I'm teaching. So it's going. It's working. Okay. So I'm going to change this now. So can you see the difference? Hello everyone. Sorry. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can.
Yes.
Okay, sorry for there was a break. I was floundering for a bit because the code pen wasn't working how it should. So yeah, changing the flex direction allows you to decide whether your flex is flowing horizontally or vertically. So if you change the flex direction to columns, your the child items, which are the divs inside the parent container, which is the div with class flex container, all the other divs are inside the first div. You understand? So all those other divs inside, they are the child items. So you can basically tell them how to behave using the commands like flex direction. If you write column, they flow like a column, and if you write row, they flow like a row. So that's why I said grid is two-dimensional and flex is one-dimensional. But flex gives you the opportunity to do more. Basically you have greater control over what your child items are doing. So let me see. Flex wrap. So let me see what the wrap value does. No. Flex wrap. Flex wrap. Flex wrap.
Flex wrap is for the overflow.
Okay, flex wrap is for the overflow. I'm trying to look for easy how do I put it, easy properties that I can use to describe what you can do with Flexbox. So okay, in this example now, align items, you can use align items. You remember when we did the former what do we call it, and I had to center the text. So now let me give the flex a size. Let me give the flex container a size. Okay, let me give it a size of, I don't know, width. Let me put width, I think 80 BW. Let me give it a background color so I see if it's actually at that size. background color of, let's use cyan again, red. Okay, let's use red. Red is a, okay, so now you can see that I've given it a size. Then you can see again, like before, all the elements are the extreme left. So going back, like I said, the align items. So there's a value called align items, and this allows you to put the items in the middle of the container. Okay, so
Align items wouldn't work for that.
well, let's check. Let's find out.
But you can use like justify contents to like center them.
Let's find out.
Align items should work. Oh. It should work. It should work. Let me see.
So yeah, now I'm using the align items, and seems it was right. Now the items remain at the extreme left. So let me go back to the notation and see why. Display effects, align item center. Why is it not aligning? Let me look at the example. Oh, okay. Let me style the divs. That's the issue here. Okay, so the issue with what I wrote now is that align items only puts the items in the center of their divs. Let me style the divs. Let me give the div a size. So let me give the divs a size of maybe 20 view width each. So okay, can everybody see that the size of my divs has increased? All the divs.
Yeah.
As you can notice, I didn't use any selector because I'm styling the HTML tag directly. As you can see, I'm styling the HTML tag directly, which is not actually the right way to write code. You shouldn't be doing that. But then now let me use the align item center. Let me go back. So okay. Display property set. No. Okay. So okay. No, I'm using the align items property wrong way, because if I come back to the example here, they are using they are selecting from the flex container, then selecting the div after. So let me do that. Control C, control. I'm not going to be using their whole code, so let me remove some of this. With no 100 pixels, no. Let me use 20 VW like I use. So VW stands for view width. VW stands for view width. Then they have margins of 10px. So basically now, okay, this is using text align center, but then the align items is centering all the divs. So basically, I can still, let me switch the flex direction again. Let me switch it to column. And you can see it changes the orientation. So basically, that's the difference between Flexbox and Grid. So Flexbox is one dimensional, Grid is two dimensional. So I'm going to be ending the class here because I have another appointment. Sorry, the class isn't complete. And sorry, I was floundering in the second part of the class. I didn't have time to prepare slides. I didn't have time to go over what I was going to teach. So this class should have been better. I'm sorry for that. So if you have any further questions to ask, I think everybody here is on the Slack. Is everybody on the Slack?
Yeah.
So if you're on the Slack, if you have any other questions to ask, I'll put you through. This should have been better put together. Sorry for the, like I said again, sorry for this not being as structured as it should be. So if I'm going to give an assignment, I don't know, do your other instructors give you assignments?
No.
Okay, you don't give assignments. You don't get, okay, you don't get assignments. Okay, so okay, then okay, just maybe if you have the time, hop on a code pen, try and play around with this. Try and play around with this. You can hop on a code pen if you use VS Code, anything. Just try and play around with this these tags, these selectors. Just try and make something with it. If you have any issues, you can ask on the Slack chat. So everyone should have a nice day. It was nice teaching you. Thanks.
So we can ask questions, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you can ask questions. You can ask questions. Sorry for that. Ask questions.
The VW is the same as PX, or what's the dimension?
Okay, VW is another unit of measurement. VW stands for view width. Then it also has its counterpart, view height. So basically, VW takes the size of the screen into consideration. So based on the size of the screen, if you are on a phone screen, and VW is basically a percentage. If I write 80 VW, it means 80% of your screen. If I write 90 VW, it means 90% of your screen. And that changes based on the screen you are using. If you're using a laptop, that's 80% of your laptop screen. If you're using a phone, that's 80% of your phone screen. Do you understand that?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Wow, worries.
Imagine. Who is singing Waris there? Any other questions?
Oh, I thought we are done. Okay.
Okay, you can continue singing your Waris then. If there is no other questions, then I assume the class is done then. Have a nice day, everyone.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Please, we need the recorded version of this class.
Recorded version. I'm not sure this class was being recorded while I was teaching, but I'll ask from other instructors if this was recorded.
Actually being recorded.
Okay, it was being recorded.
Yeah.
Okay. So ask on the Slack channel. I think you can probably get it from the instructors, from other instructors. I don't have access to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, get one guy with the actually the help us the correct books. I beg. When we see for Slack, we need more help. Yeah.
See.
By the way, can we leave now, even if it's not 17? Yeah.
Yes, now you can leave. Twitter left the class.
Yeah, but I thought they would attendance or something. Okay, thank you.
Lol. That one, I think we'll check it.